To my podcast about sports, about sports, about sports.
Howdy, Aggs, from the Tailgate, home of Aggie football. Today's episode brought to you by Matthews Electric, full service electrical contract in the Brazos Valley. No job too big, no job too small. Call Blaine 979-220-6403. Light up your home, light up your life. Thank you, Blaine. Once again, old Sarge. Folks, don't forget to email us at axtailgate@gmail.com. Send some questions, show topics, anything you want. Get on the YouTube, make some commentary, subscribe. Some comments coming from the YouTube. Asian Persuasion says, wonder if the quarterback battle could be like Gerard Johnson and Tannehill. JJ completely fell off after the injury, and Tanny won 6 straight games after he was put in as the starter. He's not ready to give up on CW just yet, but if he struggles against Florida, definitely need to have that convo. Rundy also worries him after the loss of Jackson, Rakes, and Nolan from last year. Jay Paul would like to see Reed get some reps with the ones. Needs to be ready to go against Florida if CW not getting done. Yeah, 100%. They need to be ready. I think it's a much shorter leash against Florida than it was against Notre Dame. You know, I don't think that it's time to pull CW by any means, but you better be ready to go. Can't lose this game. Coup 2011. Number 3 and running backs were open several times, but didn't throw to them or miss them. Does not think scheme is issue outside of Noah Waters, who did not run great routes, not like Jimbo. Klein's offense is not like Jimbo's. I disagree. Number 3, I don't think is having a great season so far. I think he's not very physical. I think he gets dominated by physical players. Even the other day, I mean, it's not like he's going up and catching those balls up at the top. He's sort of drifting away from things and catching them low. I think guys like Allen have had a better year so far and have showed more. Walker has showed more even. I haven't been impressed with Noah. He did do a little bit better job in the run blocking, so the effort was a little bit better this past week. You can't take anything that you see against McNeese as sort of all that important. But we need to see improvement from all those guys. So on to the games. Aggies beat McNeese State 52-10. They got plenty. Connor was out of the game before the end of the second quarter. Scored in each one of his drives. It's I believe a touchdown in each one of his drives. Marcel Reed came in, got a field goal in his first drive. The fact of the matter is that both of those, this team was McNeese State was overmatched by far. They still were able to accomplish some things offensively, especially in the running game. That does worry me a little bit. Their defense could not, their defensive line couldn't match up as far as playing against the SEC opponent, and that allowed the Aggies to do whatever they wanted to in the running game. On Saturday, we play against Florida, 2:30 in Gainesville, 2:30 p.m. Central Time. We'll talk a little bit about Florida, but let's start with the McNeese game. Offensively, this team ran for 333 yards and 5 touchdowns on the ground, threw for another 196 and 2 touchdowns. Look, Connor was better. His feet were a little bit better. His decision-making and delivery, more than anything else, I think were a little bit better. He gave guys an opportunity to catch the ball. Of course, it was against McNeese State, so we'll see how that plays out. The truth is that he had good pockets most of the day, and that helped him. He's still drifting in the pocket some, right? So every time he's sitting back there in the pocket, he's not just standing and reading. He is drifting, and waiting for a guy to come open. He also seems to be very locked in on a particular wide receiver. I don't think he's doing a very good job of getting through his progressions. I don't know exactly what Colin Klein is telling him at this point in time. I'm seeing a lot of one-on-one routes right now. He's sort of picking the matchup and staying with it. Um, but he missed some reads, right? There was some times when the guys were open that he didn't get them the ball. I'm thinking one time in particular, he had Moose on a little chair route coming back out to it, and he didn't see it. He was able to, I think, get some things going in the run game though. Uh, I did like what I saw about him when he made the decision to take off. We'll see how effective that is against a team with better athletes in the SEC. You know, he's a good athlete, not a great athlete. As far as that's concerned, he can make some plays, and he does need to be decisive in the moments when he decides to go. He needs to go, but he also had to see the field better, right? And he's going to have to start going through progressions and doing some things there as far as that's concerned. Klein's got to be able to get him in some plays where it's sort of an easy open guy. We still haven't seen that. Running game was really good. Running game was really good. Of course, it was against McNeese State. Lots of power game, right? Pull the guard, bring the tight end around. Thought that with the down blocks, thought they did a decent job in that part of the game in the zone part blocking. Sometimes a little too fast inside zone, a little too fast up to the second level, causing some penetration on the O-line. But the O-line was pretty good. O-line was pretty good. Opened up some pretty big holes in the running game and gave Connor some protection and Reed some protection throughout that process, right? That was better. We'll talk about the running backs and the wide receivers, the skill guys here in a second, but going back to the offensive line, one of the things that they still haven't figured out is what to do with an outside blitz, right? So guys coming off the outside. I haven't seen them pick one of those guys up at all year long. They tackle comes in, takes the inside guy and stays with it instead of passing him off to the guard and fanning out to that outside guy, right? So those guys have been coming free. Connor's done a good job of getting rid of the ball with the pressure in his face. But hell, there was one time it wasn't even a blitz. It was a defensive end lined up. They had a tight end to the same side, and the tackle didn't recognize the fact that he had that defensive end out there. Instead, he decided to come inside and help on the next guy on the defensive line. Guard tried to take over there, but instead they let this guy come in loose. So, they were having some problems identifying guys. When they lock guys up, they've been pretty good at staying on their blocks and not falling off. A problem we had a lot last year. So there is improvement, but we now have to be able to identify those things. Some of that's schematic, right? Some of that's schematic. And so we got to figure out how to get those guys to see where those blitzes are coming from. Is it a call from the quarterback? Is it a call from the center? What's going on there with that offensive line that they're not able to identify some of those things? But overall, the offensive line has been substantially better. And so we can't blame those guys for the struggles for this offense. The struggles for this offense have come, I think, week one, definitely Connor, but overall has been Colin Klein. Overall, the problem's been Colin Klein. And let's talk about these wide receivers, right? Because we started to see Moose. We started to see Terry Bussey getting in the reps, especially with Jday going out early. He'll be back. He's fine. Who'd been one of our better receivers today, obviously in the first 2 weeks. Allen has been one of the guys that's showed out a little bit in the first 2 weeks. He has to continue. It was nice to see Barber on the field, even though he didn't get any balls his way. Look, we had an expectation of Noah Thomas to be the number one guy on this team. I don't think he's that. I'm not real sure that he's even a top 2 guy. he's got something that you can't teach, 6'6" size. But right now he's not physical. He's not physical. He's getting dominated by cornerbacks in physicality, right? How is it that you got a guy that's 6'6", you never see him go up and catch the ball up top? You never see him catch the ball up top. It's always catching down in here, right? Into his body. He's always got a guy right draped on it. He can't separate from those guys. He can't because those guys are dominating him physically a little bit, right? They're sort of pushing him out. He can't always get to the ball. I haven't been impressed with what I've seen from number 3. I think schematically they need to do some things to try to get him into routes without the quarterback being able to get on him, right? Put him in motion, bring him across the formation, maybe a little yo-yo motion, and then get him some space so he can get down the field and go. You need to do things to try to get him in the open. Motion him back and underneath, maybe into the slot and over through the middle. That's some of the things we do. Or put him in there in a little bunch set. Put him in there in a little bunch set with him off the ball. Maybe have a motion coming out or a back flaring outside of there and creating some things, and then have him seam it, right? But you have to do something to get him uncovered, get him off of a defender, off the cornerback, because he's getting dominated at the line of scrimmage a lot of times. Those big physical corners are overpowered. Got to do something to get him going. But, on top of that, I like the fact that, Moose comes in, gets a play, almost scores a touchdown on that one, puts his head down, trucks a guy. Love it. Love it. That's typical Moose. Makes next catch, touchdown, right? That guy's always a big play waiting to happen or a play waiting to happen, right? So I think you have to continue to get him the ball with Walker and what he's been doing, get him back involved against Florida here. Allen, get him involved. But here's the key. I think Terry Bussey needs to get the ball more. I think they need to make sure that Bussey is a guy that gets some shots down the field. That dude is a physical specimen. He's a freak. He showed it on Saturday against McNeese. The way, on that wide receiver little jet sweep. And he gets going forward, buddy. They weren't going to catch him, right? Big play. We talked about explosive plays for this offense. He's the only one that's provided it so far. You need to make him a bigger part of this offense. He should be a difference maker for this team. He can already do it as a freshman. Get him in the playbook. Get him in the playbook. Get him to run certain routes and be able to let the ball go, right? Let the ball go. Send it out to him. Give it to him one-on-one. Look, that dude's going to run by a lot of folks. Happy to see Barber out there. The running backs, I thought they played excellent. I thought Moss looked a little bit more decisive in his holes. I thought he played, I think the power run game actually benefits him more, right? I think that he sees that better than the zone blocking scheme, the power blocking scheme versus the zone, right? Moss is better there. He's also, even when you do, a little bit of pin and pull on the sweeps, right? A little pin and pull on the sweeps. I think he does a better job of finding those holes and being able to get in there and create some yardage. His physical ability and look, the guy's a monster physically, right? And athletic too. He can do some things when he hurdles guys and things like that. He's got the tools. Now the reps are going to help him get to those holes a little bit better. He looked a lot better the other day, of course, competition. Daniels continues to look good. I'm always impressed by that guy. The things that he does in the pass protection, boy, he just stepped up in there and absolutely just cold cocked that guy, the linebacker coming through, and allowed Connor to get in there and throw the pass. I actually, it might have been Reed. Point being is that dude has made incredible progress in all areas of his game, including the pass protection. I think he's a weapon with the ball in his hands. I think he's a weapon You throw him the football. That guy needs to continue to get involved. Both of those running backs have to stay at 1-2. Just keep it up. Rotate them in and out, and let those guys go because they're probably going to be the basis of this offense. And you have to start adding a little bit of something with the play action, right? Look, Klein is still the problem. Klein is still the problem. Nothing down the field at all. Nothing down the field at all. His route, like the play calling, all outs, 5-yard outs, or they're going to do all hitches. Look, that's Jimbo stuff, right? All hitches, all outs, whatever, all slants. That's Jimbo stuff. We need to start doing some things that are explosive, bussy, explosive. Get the routes out from the 5 to 10-yard area, right? Do some more, and even when they do their drags and their clear routes, right? It's right there at 5-10 yards. Not enough play action. They don't sell it well when they do play action, right? I want to see the pistol. Have him turn his back, really throw it out there, play action, boom. Slow it down. Slow that play action down, make it look good. And then boom, turn it over, turn it around, and over the top. We got to see some more of that. We got to see some more of that in the running game too. Downhill. Get that downhill running game going out of the pistol because that allows you to incorporate some of that play action. You want to get under center, you can do some of that, right? But all those things have to happen because you have to start creating some explosive plays. And you got to figure out ways to get these guys open. We'll talk more about that scheme as we go forward. Defensively, Elko said it. Run D is a problem. Run fits are a problem. He said it in his press conference this week. They're still giving up the big plays. Even McNeese State got a couple of big run plays. I mean, off the edge. Rick's horrible, by the way. Rick's horrible in the run game. But the fits just are a little off. And, the defensive line is covering up a lot of things in the interior. Shamar Turner really doing a good job. Shamar Stewart. At times, it's Scorton as well. Those guys are doing a pretty good job against the run, except for the fact that they still have some issues in the fits, right? Because what does Elko like to do? He likes to slant a bunch of guys or, twist guys or move guys. And so when they do that, you're having to take that group going one way, the linebackers going the other. And here's the thing, the play might be going in the other direction, right? And so now who's coming down? The safety's coming down and rolling down into it to be the third guy in that box as far as the second level. And he's coming down from deep, so he's late to get to that point. He's not fitting well, or he's too far outside and they're creasing him inside. There's all kinds of things happening, but at the end of the day, too much movement in the defense that's causing a lot of gaps and a lot of bad fits for the second and third layers, right? And that's a problem. What's the corners doing when they're coming in sometimes, especially Ricks, and they're losing contain on that outside, giving up that next level because the secondary has to come in and play based off of what these guys are doing schematically. That secondary has to be a big part of the run defense. When you slant that defensive line all one way, that means that you need help on the outside over here, right? That nickel guy's got to play. The linebackers have got to play. But yet, your linebackers have to be able to read. Now, if it's full flow the other way, then what's going on? You're just guessing. You're just guessing as you're slanting things and doing things of that nature, right? So there's too much of that. There's too much of that, especially on early downs, that's causing the problems in the run game. I also think that Albert Reed just ain't doing a great job. I think he's getting a ton of reps. To be honest with you, the defensive line seems like they're stuck to the offensive line on about 80% of these plays, right? I thought Shamar Turner did a little bit of a better job getting some penetration the other day, but Shamar Stewart did as well at times. But I think you're seeing way too much engagement there by those guys because they're playing the run first, but they're playing the run first because they're not getting the support from the back end, right? And because they're playing the run first, they're not able to rush the passer fully. Look, we knew this was coming. We knew this was coming. The linebackers are still not getting to where they need to be. Contain and overlap has been lacking, to say the least. Ricks has been horrible in run support and probably our worst cover guy out of the starting group. Safety's late to get downhill from time to time. I did think, look, with the safeties, I thought that we got some nice plays. At Ratcliffe, I think, has done some great things in the run game at times, but there's, sometimes sometimes they're just a little late in that rotation, right? Just a little late in that rotation, leaving a bigger gap than it should be. Back out of the backfield has been a problem for this team. If you look at the interception, the interception by Lee off of the ball, off the defense, the wide receiver's hands, right? That interception. If that quarterback looks at the wheel route, the running back on the wheel route, holy cow, he is wide open for a touchdown all day. Quarterback should have chunked it. That'd have been touchdown. So there are some things that are happening here. Not doing very good getting pressure. They've made guys uncomfortable a little bit at quarterback. Some of those quarterbacks uncomfortable a little bit, but they got one sack on us in 2 games, right? One sack in 2 games. They got to be better than that. They have to be better than that. And people are talking, well, these other guys are getting rid of the ball quick. Okay, why are they able to get rid of the ball quick? Because our defensive backs are playing off. If you're trying to get pressure, why are your defensive backs playing off? Why not play them up? Take that away. Force the quarterback to hold the ball a little longer, and then get your pressure. Go, go, go. Running quarterbacks will hurt you, though. Running quarterbacks will hurt you. I thought Sanford looked better than Scooby. Scooby didn't play. Sanford got a ton of reps. The Shields got some reps and did some things in the rush game. But I thought Sanford was a little bit better than Scooby. He was a little bit quicker to react. We're still not quite there with those linebackers. Still not quite there. But I thought it was better. So they got to keep improving. Let's talk a little Florida. Florida's 1-1. They lost 41-17 to Miami, and then they beat Samford, not Stanford, Samford, 45-7. Look, I've been saying it all off season. I've been saying it through the preseason. I've been saying it since Notre Dame, after Notre Dame. This is the most important game of the season. We are at it. This is it. This is it. You cannot lose this game. First road game in the SEC, first SEC game against a team that is not good. Florida's not good. Their defense is not good. Their offense, as Miami showed, not good. Graham Mertz, not good. So as you look at that, when you see that, when you talk about that, that's a team that you should beat, based off of your talent and skill level. I understand first year coach, yada yada yada, and all this mess, right? I don't really want to hear that. I don't really want to hear that. Look, Florida is going to fire their coach this season. Napier is going to lose his job. You have to win this game. You can't be the guy that gets beat by Napier. Schematically, defensively, they've done a horrible job throughout his time there. Offensively, they got some better. But look, Mertz is not a good quarterback. I do like Lagway. And here's the thing. If he doesn't start Lagway, he should be fired before the halftime. Um, This is a team that was absolutely torched by Miami. Look, Cam Ward so far this year looks spectacular. I mean, I'm talking Heisman, right? He just looks he just overcomes all issues with Miami and their coaching staff and the crap coaching that they're getting. That dude is a playmaker and a difference maker. I'm so impressed with him. He was a monster. Monster. Now, Florida did run for 175 yards on Miami. Montrell Johnson is a really good running back. That's going to be our, as big a challenge as the Notre Dame back, right? If not more. Montrell Johnson is a beast. So for a team that's had trouble stopping the run and a guy that has been very good at running the football, that's a bad combination for the Aggies. They have to be better. They have to be better. I would simplify. I would simplify defensively, not complicate things, not become more complex, not add more schemes, none of that. I would simplify, get my guys in a good position, and and let those athletes play. Let the athletes play. Look, Lagway has got game. That dude's got game. If he gets the start, I expect him to make plays. The dude's got game. He's got some of that moxie, right? And he's only a freshman. So you may be able to rattle him, show him some things that he hasn't seen before. But here's the thing, he can hurt you with his legs, and he can definitely hurt you with his arms. He threw for 456 yards and 3 touchdowns this past Saturday. Yes, against Samford. I understand. But you've seen him do things in the past. In the spring game, he looked good. He's done some things. He's looked pretty good. He looks like he's got a little bit of that it. And so if Billy Napier doesn't put him in, Aggies should go thank Billy Napier. He is the better quarterback of the two. I think he gives them a chance. I think he gives them a chance against our defense because once again, he's going to add that explosive play over the top with his arm, and he's going to add the quarterback run game to offset some of the running game with Montrell Johnson as well. So I think that's dangerous. With Lagway, I think this offense is a lot more dangerous. Eugene Wilson, Elijah Badger, top 2 wide receivers that they've been making plays this year. I'm not sure that either one of them is a guy that I wouldn't feel comfortable leaving Thomas on or leaving Leon, right? Those guys can stay one-on-one and go cover. Let those guys go be physical and play. But they can hurt you. There's no question. They can hurt you. Defensively, Florida has issues. They have a lot of schematic issues. They've had problems with schematically over the last couple of years. But their front's actually pretty good. They can actually get pressure up front. So if you let that defensive line go, if you get yourself into some passing situations where it's a known passing down, they can get you. And they're going to test this offensive line, maybe more than Notre Dame because they got some outside rush guys that can really get to you. Look, Florida, this game on the road, having won one in 3 years or whatever, this is as big as it gets for Mike Elko. This is as big as it gets for Mike Elko. Look, the Notre Dame game, Notre Dame wasn't any good. We knew they were beatable before the game. We've said it. We talked about it. We talked about things that we needed to do in order to beat them. We didn't get those things done. Then they go out and lose to NIU at home. That is not a team that is that good. They are not a top 10 team. We could not take advantage of that as Aggies because our offense was just that terrible. Because our defense gives up big plays. Those two things. We talked about it before the season started. Defensively, that's what happened. That's the thing that worried me. Big plays in the run game. The fits with Elko's defense and all the things that he does. Missing on some of those things. But then the thing that I didn't expect was this offense to be so horrendous, right? Offense to be so horrendous. Colin Klein has been, I mean, maybe one of the worst offensive coordinators in the SEC this year so far. Kentucky, maybe. But the point being is he hadn't been good. He hadn't been good. Maybe not the worst, but he hadn't been good. And he's been the biggest disappointment so far. I know that, just because NIU beats Notre Dame doesn't mean NIU beats that. Listen, I watched all these games. Notre Dame was very beatable. They weren't that good. They got a good secondary and they got a good tailback. The Aggies couldn't take advantage of that. They didn't come in and press those wide receivers and take away the short routes. They didn't do those things defensively. They left the gaps open in the running game. You're doing too much schematically and not getting to where they need to be in the second level and in the third level, right? Creating seams for the running game. They didn't do what was necessary. Right now, based off of what we've seen so far, this team needs to fix some of those issues. They need to fix it this week because Florida's another team, very, very beatable. They're an SEC team, though. Don't kid yourself. And last time we thought they were beatable, 2 years ago, they absolutely put it on us. A team that was bad, put it on us. You can't allow that to happen again. You cannot allow that to happen again. You've got to go in there and you've got to play the best game of the season and beat Florida. You lose to Florida, all bets are off. This team could go, it's going to be tough. It's going to be a rough year. You lose to Florida, it's going to be a rough year. You may not make a bowl game. Look, if the Aggies don't fix this offense and start creating explosive plays, they don't fix the defense and stop the explosive plays, they could lose a lot of games. Why do I say that? Why do I say that? This, look, everybody's going to get upset. Aggies, I know, I'm being negative, right? I'm not being negative. I'm telling you what I'm seeing. I'm telling you what they've done in the last 2 weeks. I'm telling you what will happen if they go forward and do the same things they've done over the last 2 weeks going forward. Look, Bowling Green gave Penn State fits. They gave Penn State fits. They led that game. We got them after Florida. Penn State's a top 10 team, ranked in the top 10 anyway. They almost lost to Bowling Green. That's not going to be a cakewalk. That's not going to be a cakewalk. They can cause some fits. Look, Arkansas can run the football, which is a problem for our defense. They can score points. That's a problem for our offense because our offense doesn't score. That's a problem. Mizzou's going to score. I promise you that. Mizzou's going to score. This offense better get their stuff ready. Mississippi State, probably a win. That's probably a win. Probably maybe the one I feel the best about. LSU, boy, you better watch out. They can score. They got some players. They can score offensively. They can put points on the board. Defensively, they'll give some up, but our offense hasn't shown the ability to do that yet. South Carolina dominated Kentucky. Dominated. Sacked the quarterback 5 times. Dominated. Look, that's big. South Carolina, all of a sudden, that's a game. It's in their place. In their place. And if our offense doesn't get their head out of their butts, Colin Klein doesn't get his head out of his butt, that could be a problem. They can hurt you with the running game. They can hurt you with the quarterback run game, for that matter. Auburn was bad. Okay, let's give it up. They lost to Cal. They didn't look good. Auburn was bad. We said that. Of course, they gave us problems and beat us when they were bad 2 years ago. They almost beat us last year when they were just as bad. I mean, they got the worst quarterback in the league, and yet we struggle against them all the time, but they're bad. Look, Texas, you mark that down as a loss. You mark that down as a loss right now. They look phenomenal against Michigan. And not only that, I'm telling you, Texas is going to put up points against us. Texas will put up points against us. And that's the last game of the season. Elko could have a lot of, do a lot with this defense and get them to a certain point. From everything I've seen, look, Texas, that game is not going to be close. Not going to be close. Because schematically, what he does is impressive. Sark does a great deal offensively, schematically, to get guys wide open. And they're good enough athletes to do something with it. Look, if you don't fix this offense, if start creating explosive plays, getting Connor Wigman to throw the ball down the field, you lose 6 games. Easy lose 6 games. If Elko doesn't get the defense under control, Klein doesn't start creating big plays, it's not going to be a good season. I came into the season with tons of optimism. I said it before the season. We can beat everybody on this schedule. I'm not sure that's true anymore. I don't think that's true anymore. Because I haven't seen anything out of the play callers that's going to put this team in its best position. Look, I said it before the season. I said it when they hired Elko. Elko's D has always had a problem with big plays in the running game. They've always been too complex. They have too much movement, and they do it all on rundowns that creates issues for the second level, third level fits. The overlap, they've always had a problem on the edges as well, because they'll sit in there and do all this crazy stuff inside. They got to cover up for it, and then the edges get left out. Always had a problem. Go back and look at his defenses from all those other years that he was here. Go look at them. They don't create a lot of turnovers. They don't create a lot of sacks. They had good personnel then. They still didn't create a lot of sacks. His defenses never had. What does he have to do with this? Well, he needs to let that defensive line just play. Stop slanting them all the time and shifting them and looping them and doing all that stuff. Just let them go. He needs to let them go. He needs to bring the defensive backs up to the line of scrimmage, play some bump and run, man coverage, not zone, man coverage. Bring some blitzes with your linebackers. Bring some blitzes with your nickels, and let them cover on the back end, man to man. Just do it. Tighten it up. Take away the short stuff. Force people to hold the football a little bit longer. Oh, you can still keep a safety D. You still keep a safety D. Let your defensive line eat, but you got to give them time to get there. You can't have your cornerback playing a 10 yards so they can throw a 5-yard out in that quick and never feel the pressure. You can't leave the back open every time out of the backfield. Elko needs to adjust. He's got talent. He doesn't have to make it so cute. He doesn't have to make it all about his complex scheme. They're creating issues. That scheme creates big plays, losses, all those things, but it also creates big plays for the offense. It always has. Go back and look at his defenses. Big plays. No sacks, no turnovers. In most cases, that's all right because it's not a ton of big plays. And your offense can score them. Let's talk about Klein. Look, I challenge you. Go watch Sark and his offense, his play calling. They'll sit in there. They've got the back in the backfield. They got a little bunch set here, whatever. Then they bring a motion coming out of here, or they'll swing the back out, and all of a sudden they look like they're about to throw it out to that swing, and then over here they got a wide receiver coming underneath, and he's wide open. Right? They'll sit in there. They'll run the motion across. They'll fake the zoom. wide receiver sweep there, went, and then hit the tight end in the seam. Little things with motion. They'll do a little loop-de-doo. Oh, he goes, he comes back around, and all that to get the guy over the top. But go watch his play design. Little things with the motions, with the formations, with the misdirections. And they pair them up, right? They're going to throw that one out there a couple of times. They're going to throw that one out there. And the next time, they're going to think about it, boom, and over the top. But it's not just line up and run the play. He's got all kinds of different things that he pairs together with different things. And the motions, the misdirections, the way he changes the angles on a defense, that's what it's all about. He gets an advantage based off of formation and motion. He gets the defense's eyes somewhere else. It's pretty impressive. Go watch Kiffin's offenses. He creates for his players, creates open plays, open big plays for his players. Riley does the same thing. If you go watch him at USC, doesn't mean you have to be wide open. You don't have to be, this crazy offense, no huddle, snapping the ball every 6 seconds. But the scheme has to be more creative. Trick plays, double moves, some like I said, more motions, more shifts, more, variety. Just get creative. We haven't seen that yet from Klein. And we need to, right? We need to, because this offense is not going to be enough to keep this team in a lot of games. We haven't seen that kind of creativity and explosive in Aggie. Wide open guys. We don't see that. Play some games with the running backs. 2 backs, crossing, doing different things. 1 out and 1 underneath. I mean, all those things are there. Influence the leverage with motions, with misdirections. We always talked about offensively as we were designing plays, we need to be able to get leverage, right? You want leverage. Well, create the leverage. Create the leverage. Influence the eyes on the defense. Who are they reading? What are they doing? Force the linebackers to overflow. Get them to over pursue using different keys. Zoom motions, fakes to the wide receiver, whatever it may be. Pull the offensive line on stuff. They're reading guards, right? But you got to be able to influence their eyes and what they're doing. Klein has not done any of that. He has not pushed the ball down the field at all. He has not given the defense anything to think about. He needs to do that. We've got work to do on both sides of the ball, offensively and defensively. There's no question. There's no question. Klein right now has been the biggest disappointment on this team. I was very high on the high. He's got to make us right now. He's got to make us right. Doesn't mean we fire him tomorrow, but it does mean he's got to make some changes. So what do we expect for this Florida game? Well, let me tell you, A&M is favored by 4, over under at 46.5. I'm telling you, based off of how we have played, take Florida in the points. This game is going to be close. This game is going to be close. Take Florida in the points. That's what I'm going to do. I'm leaning the over, too. I'm leaning the over. Not because I expect a lot of things out of our offense, but because of the fact that I know that Florida defense is pretty bad. So we'll see. If Klein does open this thing up, they've got a chance. They've got a chance to get in there and win this game on the road. If he doesn't, I'm not sure. I'm not sure. And then watch out because the season's coming to tumbling. Offensive player of the game, I'm going out on a limb here, Bussy. they need to get him involved more. They need to get him the ball on some screens. They need to get him the ball down the field. Throw that dude the ball. Defensive player of the game, I'm going to go Thomas. I'm going to go Thomas. And the reason being is, once again, the defensive line just hasn't produced the numbers that we expected from them. I think they still hold up pretty good. Linebackers I haven't been terribly impressed with. It's got to be somebody in the secondary. To me, these guys are going to throw the football around a little bit, especially with Lagway. I think they would. I think Thomas makes some plays. He has a chance. Question from the tailgate, brought to you by Frida Homes, building Aggie dreams, custom home builders with over 15 years of experience in the Brazos Valley. If you're looking for someone that cares about you and the details you care about, contact Frida Homes. Visit them on Instagram or call Justin at 979-450-4466. When you call, just remember, everyone loves their Frida home. Question number 1, what needs to happen to get the offense going? Better play call and better play design, period. Get the ball to Bussy. Moose. What Micah Tees? Guy's got some speed. Maybe he can create some things over the top. Use some trickery. See some trick plays here. More hard play action. Down the field. Balls down the field. Look, the running game is going to continue to do what it's been doing. I think that you continue to run the football with both of those guys in Moss and Daniels. I think they can continue to make plays in that game. Now, start using them a little bit out of the backfield and getting them the ball in different situations as well. But overall, the key has to be explosive, explosive, explosive. Nick Saban said it the other day, explosive players and explosive plays win ball games. Done. You've got to make plays. You got to make explosive plays. That's how you fix this offense. 2 weeks in, who are the favorites to win it all? Look, I think it's Georgia, Texas. I still like Bama. I know they had struggles for 3 quarters the other day, but then they showed up in the fourth quarter. Tennessee looks pretty good. We'll see once they get some competition around them. I'm not sure if I put Ole Miss quite in that category. I still remember how Ole Miss got manhandled last year by both Georgia and Alabama, right? And I can't get that out of my head. But you guys, Oregon's struggling. I don't know. Ohio State, I haven't been terribly impressed with. They still haven't really played anybody. We'll see. Look, Miami has impressed me. Ward has impressed me. I think he makes a difference for that team and gives them a chance. Utah, I think, may win the Big 12. They had a nice start the other day. They need Cam Rising to stay healthy. Can they compete with these other ones? No, though. I don't think so. It's going to be an interesting year. It's going to be an interesting year. We'll see who makes it through this. I think Michigan's dropped out. Notre Dame showed you who they are. Is USC any good? Probably not. That defense has gotten a break there. They've been better this year so far, but let's see what happens as the year progresses and they play some tougher competition. We know Florida State. We know Clemson isn't that good. They can't play with the big dogs. Who's going to make it out of the Big 12? I mean, Iowa State had a big win against Iowa the other night. I don't know if Oklahoma State is going to be able to stay with it. They almost lost to Arkansas just this past weekend, so that tells you something. They've got a bunch of guys there, though, got a lot of experience. Kansas State, can they? I don't know. They just look. I'm not sold on them yet. So, out of those other conferences, who's going to do it? Right? Who's going to do it? Penn State. Well, they almost lost to Bowling Green. We know Michigan ain't it. So, it's starting to look a lot like an SEC championship, right? Which team? Can Tennessee continue to do what they're doing with Nico? When they face somebody, will he and get, they're able to get some pressure on him? Can you force some mistakes there, right? Alabama, will they be able to stick with what they're doing? Milroe, maybe get a little more consistent, especially in the passing game. Can their defense hold up? And then Georgia's Georgia, right? Texas there. think those are the guys that are going to compete for it. I do. I do. Look, Aggies, I know today wasn't a positive day for me. I know I wasn't positive, but it's the truth. It's the truth. You've seen it so far. Let's hope that we can get some things fixed. It's not over. Elko and Klein still have the ability to do that. I've seen it happen mid-season. Make some changes, do some things to help your kids out. Gig 'em Aggies, AP signing out from the tailgate.